Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you all had a lovely week out there. It's been absolutely stunning here in South Alabama the last couple of days. The temperature's come back a little bit. It's been blue skies, about 60 degrees. Great to be outside, and as soon as I do this video, I'm going down to the park and work out. But today I want to talk about raw food diet reality and getting back to basics on disease prevention. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you go down and hit that red subscribe button. Then be sure you click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. A raw food diet, a raw food diet. I've said this over and over, and I'll say it again, and I'll probably keep saying it as long as I do videos. People overplay the raw food diet part about it. People get too focused on the raw food diet about it. Then when I say something like that, people are like, okay, well, why are you doing videos if you're throwing the raw food diet under the bus? Well, I'm not throwing the raw food diet under the bus. I just don't want that to be people's main focus. It wasn't my main focus when I got into this. And I think, I say, that's why this lifestyle has worked for me, because I truly got into this for my health. I had done diets before. I had stopped drinking before. I had done things, in the name of getting healthy before. But this time I just said, you know what? And I did have weight to lose almost 9 years ago, but I said, no, I just am really going to focus on making my body as healthy as possible, making my immune system as healthy as possible, undoing some of the damage I've done in my life and basically preventing disease. That's what it's always been about for me. So sometimes I think too many people are just too focused on the raw food diet, where they'll take shortcuts to be raw, or they'll do anything to be raw, or there's just different versions of a raw food diet. Just, you can have, that's why it's hard to just say just because somebody's following a raw food diet. I guess what I'm trying to say here is I see examples of some people following a raw food diet, perfectly healthy. I aspire to have what they have. I'm like, yes, this is what I want. Then there's other raw food people that I'm just like, and I'm not going to be mean to, and I'm not saying this in any mean way, oh, I don't like them. It's just that I'm like, no, they don't look healthy to me. They don't appear healthy to me. And the things that they're saying or the things that they're eating, they're just not quite getting it. Like I say, they've kind of bought into the cult of the raw. Everything raw, and a lot of times, these subjects, like to be quite honest, a lot of the raw conversations I don't even understand. I don't understand half of the lingo in there. A lot of, in many areas of life, people will say make goals, set goals. It's important to set goals. But in a way, like I said, I took a step back. I didn't have any goals when I went into this lifestyle. And I think maybe if we're talking about our health, sometimes it's not a bad mentality just to step back and say, I don't have any goals. I don't care about the weight loss. Even if you've got weight to lose, maybe step away from that weight loss as a goal and just focus. I'm going to kind of repeat myself a lot to hammer this point today. Focus on making this thing that you're carried around on this earth the healthiest machine possible. Raw, cooked, whatever, just make sure you're feeding your body good, solid nutrition. And as I was getting ready to do this video and kind of thinking back and kind of getting my thoughts together, I thought, okay, let's go back to the early days when I first started doing this lifestyle and when I first started hearing about a raw food diet, raw veganism, which inevitably, even though I kind of started looking at the raw stuff first, it was very much around the same time I started getting to like some of the basics of just solid plant-based material. The people like Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Michael Greger, the people that were explaining like the basics of disease prevention, especially T. Colin Campbell, even, the China study. I remember those studies that I read about so long ago that he was doing with rats, that had cancer and had tumors, and he was turning these cancer cells on and off just simply by the amount of animal products or the amount of animal protein that he was feeding these mice. Blew me away. I started reading some of Caldwell Esselstyn's stuff, and then eventually, I gravitated towards Dr. Michael Greger. And there's a few others that are not about the raw part of it or don't focus necessarily on the raw, that they just talk about the basics. And for most people, let's just be honest. Oh, and the Blue Zones too. The Blue Zones was another big eye-opener. And let's just be quite honest. I know there are certain things, and I have friends that I've actually know personally that have reversed things with the raw part of it. And they weren't getting everything they needed as far as, kind of getting rid of certain conditions, eating cooked. But for most people are going to thrive on a whole food plant-based diet. Think about what most of the world is eating. Most of the world's eating garbage. So just simply the fact that you're not consuming animal products and you're eating whole food plant-based. Now that's important right there. I know that word we talk about, it keeps getting thrown out all the time. Whole food plant-based, but it's exactly what it means. Real food, not a package it's raw, it's technically raw or something, but real foods. The sweet potatoes, fruits, vegetables, everything like that. But it's more important like that. And one of the principles they all seemed to share, even though they don't say the same thing, they have various different methods, is the SOS method. I think there's the building blocks of this health thing, moving on up towards raw. And raw, I still eat mostly raw. I have to focus on that all the time. Just because I open the door and I say, okay, I eat, I have some potatoes with my salad or this or that, it's not this big shift. Don't think I've gone from fully raw, which I never really was fully raw, to eating a lot. It's just very little. But the building blocks towards health, in my opinion, and this is just my 2 cents worth, but it's my channel, so why wouldn't it be my 2 cents worth, is the number one, whole food plant-based. Get rid of the animal products, eat real foods. The second part of that, SOS, salt, oil, and sugar-free. Which means added oils, added salt, and added sugars. Now, of course, people say, well, what about the fruit? Yes, naturally occurring sugars. I'm talking about adding table sugar. I'm talking about these products, and this comes into account when you're eating processed stuff, canned stuff in bottles, stuff in cans. That's when the sugar really creeps up on you there. And then salt. The average person just uses, and I used to do that, just salt was an extension of my hand. Now people will ask, I'm not fanatic on any of them. I have a bottle of olive oil in my kitchen. I'm trying to think. I think I used some last week or the week before. So I'll use a little bit of olive oil from time to time. I'm talking about what we do every day. What we do every day is where our health really comes from. I'll use that every once in a while. Every once in a while I'll have a recipe or I'll have a taste and I'll put some salt on something. But actually the salt is usually pink Himalayan. I'm not using just regular table salt, but salt, oil, sugar-free, plant-based, no animal products, getting rid of the meat, getting rid of the dairy, right there. Cutting out the processed foods. Right there for most people that have issues, they're going to reverse them with that. The raw, I do believe in the living foods, the enzymes, all that good stuff. And like I say, I still eat mostly raw. When I go back to Costa Rica, I will probably, it's funny because somebody was just reached out to me, sent me an email about Costa Rica, and I'm going to answer them here soon. And I think about that quite often when I go back to Costa Rica. Somebody always asks me, I just ended up here. There's no big mystery. My mother is in a nursing home. I'm in Alabama. There's no great mystery. Every time I even mention the word Costa Rica, it's like there's a story behind it. Circumstances leave me here. Yes, I hope to get back. No, I don't have any particular plans to get back. But I think about it. I get back to Costa Rica. I'm living at the beach in Costa Rica. Now, probably you guys know, if you've watched enough of my videos, I just kind of go with the flow. I go with the environment that I'm in. Now, you put me back at the beach in that little beach town where I was living in Costa Rica, and let's say I went there tomorrow, I'd probably drop right back to being 100% raw. And at some point, would actually have to force myself back to eating a few of the potatoes if the weight became a problem. Because like I say, I mostly include what cooked food I do into my eating to keep weight on, just simply for that. So yeah. So don't think I'm ever throwing the fully raw or even raw, however much you do, under the bus. I would go back to it tomorrow. I get back to Costa Rica, I'm going to that damn market, and I'm probably gonna eat insane for about a month or two. I'm just gonna mono meals. Nothing but mono meals. Wake up in the morning, have a big glass of orange juice and sugarcane juice. Wait a little bit, have a mono meal of mangoes. Wait a little bit, have a mono meal of papaya. Mono meal of pineapple. It would take me about a month or two to be back down there, just to be like, okay, now it's time to start figuring out how I'm going to eat. I'd just be sucking down fruit. But once again, think about your health and less about just like, okay, how raw am I today? And I'll finish with this. You can always be more raw, but if you have to, there's no shame, or there's no, maybe you lose a little cred in your local Facebook group if you take a step back. But I would say, before you're focusing on being fully raw, you need to have everything. You need to have all your ducks in a row just on plant-based. If you can eat fully raw and keep it salt, oil, sugar free, keep the processed foods out of there, not eat too much fat. That's another one there, just like overeating fat just to keep it raw. If you can do all those things, great. But focus on the health first, and remember the basics of disease prevention. Most of the basics of disease prevention have very little to do with the raw part of it, and have to do with what we've taken out of our diet, i.e. animal products, processed food, salt, oil, and sugar. So focus on disease prevention. Focus on our health. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and have a great weekend, and I will see you probably Sunday or Monday. Peace.